Who would be a Wolves fan, eh?
On goes ball. Speedball might yet win it here for Wolves. Flash in the shot. What a goal! Molineux in all its magnificence.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, whenever you're listening. Welcome aboard the fun bus for this match review of Wolves 2, Crystal Palace 2. With me tonight, the real Rich, now that our former leader is gone, Pricey and Ed. We all know what this is going to be about. We all know everyone's waiting, everyone's bursting at the seams to have a go. But first, we'll start when things were okay in the world. Things are all right. Things are not Storm Force. I was going to say Storm Force 10, but info out the way first. This show is in association with the Sports Social Podcast Network and fcquiz.app. Hey, what? I don't play this game. We all know that I can't do quizzes. Are you three in this?
Yeah.
I play from time to time.
Who's in the lead?
Normally it's Gully at the top, but
yeah,
we don't need to talk about Gully. Yeah, Gully's not here. Gully doesn't exist anymore. We don't need to talk about Gully. Who is leading then at the minute? Just so that the filthy casuals need to know.
No idea.
Between Gully and Josh. Hey, Josh.
yeah, they're the two that take it really seriously. If you want a pad for a second, I can find out actually for you in real time if you want.
Is that the original Josh Lim?
Yeah, not the new one.
That is a curious beast having two of the same. While Ed's padding for this highly important information, what have you done for yourself today? I know, Price. We've done this many years. Ed, not so much. But Rich, what do you do on a Sunday on the day after such a monumental embarrassment?
Well, I would normally be sulking into a pint of something watching the Redskins lose, but this year it's different. So we're currently whooping the Giants' ass, so I'm okay with that at the moment. But yeah, normally sulk a little bit because we've been battered and it's standard deja vu, like it's just every week is Groundhog Day as such, isn't it really? So yeah, watch a bit of football. I managed to watch Villa lose today, which is absolute bliss. United struggle, which is better. I hate to say that Verstappen won the Grand Prix as well, which is even worse, but whatever.
I almost tempted fate with that earlier on Twitter, I think. Just the excitement this morning for him being... We don't need to talk about F1. Let's just say Terry McLaren is having a great season.
Yeah.
But there we are. Ed, have you found the crucial information?
I have. So at the top is someone called Let It Huang. And then people that we do know, it's then Gully who's second, original Josh third, and then some idiot called Ed fourth.
Out of how many?
It shows the top 20. Little
No,
Dan's 14th.
You'll know more, yeah.
The Mensa of the Wall Society.
fcquiz.app.
There we go.
Give it a go if you're so inclined. So anyway, let's just get it over and done with. We'll talk about the game first in the first half. We'll go through all the incidents, blah, 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 blah. I'll say I saw the lineup and I was excited. I wasn't annoyed in any way, shape, or form. It's kind of what we wanted. Ed, you've got the look like you're going to explode, so go. What did you think at quarter two?
I thought it made sense. I mean, hindsight's a 2020 thing, right? And but it felt like it made sense to me. The only thing that made me raise my eyebrows when we were listening to it on the radio on the way to the game was he's gone with the three centre backs. Let's not get bogged down in back four, back five BS. I'm not interested. But he went with the three centre backs again, which made me think that again we've been talking all week about playing. No one plays five at the back. That's what he said last week. And then he's gone back to three centre backs. That was the only thing that made me raise my eyebrows. But we needed some creativity, so Sarabia made sense. Doyle played really well last week. Made sense to keep him in. And if there's anyone that you could probably drop out of that midfield three, it probably would be Mario Lemina, just because he has probably had the the difficult start to the season out of the three centre midfielders that we all can chop and change in between him, Joao Gomez, and Andre. So it made sense to use his little knock to keep him on the bench and bring him on later. But I was relatively happy, especially with Eze and Wharton being out.
Yeah. Now you've mentioned. Let's just go to Rich for our goalkeeper correspondence. Amazingly absent again, wasn't he? Where is Sam Johnson? Does he exist?
I'm assuming whatever he's got wrong with him, again, his injury, or whether he's shacked it with Neil's wife, maybe, who knows?
Allegedly.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know why you bought him in if that's the case. You played for a couple of games. Yes, maybe he hasn't made a massive difference, but it's not worse than what we currently got in the squad. It's definitely made it better. He has, to be fair, by the sound of it, he's raised the game levels in training as such for Sarr, who's improved, which is what we needed, because he was obviously on a busman's holiday for the last 2 years because no one's going to get in front of him. So he's changed, but again, you've only got to look at some of the kicking last night. He needs kicking for it, to be honest. It's dreadful. But shot stopping, you can't complain. He's great goalkeeping wise, but that's not what a goalkeeper is now. So it's not about saving the ball anymore. Unfortunately, you've got to have everything.
I mean, we agree to disagree on that. But I mean, I didn't think. I mean, it's kind of like what you're going to get with him. We've talked about it ad nauseum. I just thought it was a bit strange. And plus, you look at that lineup and you think, well, has he wilted? Has he gone for the midfield too? After all the nonsense of the last month and a half of playing of shoehorning three in there. Andre's available. Lemina's available. Does he go home?
For the purposes of those not watching on YouTube, that image of Sarabia there looks like he's trying to rip the Wolves shirt off. Looks like he doesn't want it anymore. Is that enough? Like the rest of us. Yeah, I mean, to echo what's been said. I mean, the multiple questions really come up from the lineup. Obviously, the back three. He's talked. I say he O'Neill talk constantly about shifting back to back four, and yet we're a team that cannot shake this back three, can we? It just will not go away. I was pleased that Sarabia was playing, so I thought that's what we needed. Obviously, we'll obviously get onto his performance in due course, but I was happy that he was playing. And then likewise, regarding the midfield, I wanted Doyle to play, so that was a tick. And then, as we said, it's never. I guess it's never an easy decision dropping the club captain, bad form or no bad form. It's still going to be a big call to make. Probably the right one, in hindsight, because he's. I guess between him and Joao Gomez, they've both been below par. But Lemina's like I say it's a bigger decision because we've all seen how emotional Lemina has been this season. So I'd probably be interested to know how he took that decision when O'Neill told him that he wasn't starting. But it was a more attacking lineup than what we've seen this season, despite the five at the back. Cunha and Larson seem like they would have a good partnership going forward, so I was pleased with that. So overall, yeah, before the game started, I was quite actually reasonably happy with what was put before us.
Yeah, same as me. I mean, we've already had the inevitable comment from Steve Morgan. If you are the right one, please come home. Save us from this nonsense. Totti played as a left back versus Palace. When Nouri was playing miles further forward than a left wing back, and it was the same old back four in possession, back five without. Hybrid thing that worked for the majority of last season. So it's all very bizarre how we didn't play like this in pre-season at all, and yet now here we are. You brought him up, Pricey. You mentioned him there that he's trying to rip his shirt off, and I mean he's showing more passion in that little clip, in that little still there than he did in the entire game. And I was there as well. I was clamoring for him to start, and we were obviously little Dan, jet lag little Dan on Friday was not so happy about this because he doesn't like you very much. And I think you look at the two of the bigger chances of the game yesterday, and you look at that first one, and I mean the first one's bad enough. So go to that. What is he doing?
panicking because it's on his right foot.
I mean, he's got the quality to finish that with his left foot. I'm sure we saw him do similar things down the years. You know, as the goalkeeper's on rushing, all he's got to do is lift it over the keeper. I'm talking like it's easy. I'm talking like it's a game of FC 25 or something. Just do the old chip and over the keeper and happy days. But you watch it and he literally he has a brain fart. Like, he literally forgets that it's a football. He seems like he doesn't know what he's going to do. He's scared. Like the ball comes across him, and then it gets worse when you watch the slow-mo replay. I'm telling you, because it just looks like at the very best, it looks like he's playing for the penalty. Like he's just waiting for Henderson to come and wipe him out and not take the ball. Unfortunately, Henderson does get very much an hand on the ball to get the ball away, and he takes Sarabia out. But for Christ's sake, I mean, the chance was there just to pop it away, and he ends up just doing nothing whatsoever. It's anyone else, I dare say, anyone else on the pitch, and they, at the very bare minimum, they at least get a shot off, right? But with him, I don't know what he's doing there. I've not a clue.
I mean, you've got to get your shot away at least, haven't you, Ed? I mean, so just dally on the ball and kind of dance like a. Oh, who knows? Who knows what he's doing?
No, I think at the time I thought what Bryce just said. I thought that he was obviously trying to either wait for the contact or it just felt like just because it was coming down onto his right foot, he just didn't know what to do with it, and it was like he was waiting for someone else to make a decision. It was it was bizarre, and I think just for balance on Sarabia, the first 10-15 minutes he was the only one sort of making any probing passes, genuinely. So he definitely, we'll talk about his second miss in a minute, but he was in the first opening 10, 15, almost 20 minutes, he was the one trying to stretch the play, playing the ball over the top. But something happened with this particular incident, and then his performance just plummeted down back to the, I think someone's already put it in the comments, the square peg in a round hole, or vice versa. He didn't know what to do in that particular situation, which is nuts considering when we can, like last year with his Spurs goal, for goodness sake, you know, he has an incredible amount of quality in him. So how he couldn't just be decisive in that moment is probably just echoes the fact that he's not played very much this season as well.
Yeah, for someone with so much experience, you'd think he wouldn't let it get to you, would he? I mean, the second, we'll come to it straight away. I mean, I know what you're going to say, Rich, because it's a brilliant save, isn't it? To be honest.
Yeah, no, it's outstanding, to be fair to him. He come out and close the gap and the angle so quick to him, which is why he wore it in the face, to be fair. But yeah, we were only saying this earlier, laughingly. You watched Sarabia in a warm-up and he didn't miss the goal. Everything was caressed in corners, bottom left, top right. Unbelievable. Then he comes to the game and he just panics. Like I said, what's he looking for? All he's going to do is hit the target. 2 times he hits the target, pretty much it's in, because there's no goalkeeper who's beating him. So for both of them, it's just really, really odd decision making on him. Like you said, he's got the quality clearly, but then you just get on his back all game, and he's like, well, you know you've got it in you, because of what I'd said, that goal against Spurs, unbelievable finish. And then just things like that, you think, well, that's why he's not playing at a club higher up the league, should we say. He's playing with us, and we're lumbered with him at his 90 grand a week. Unfortunately, now we can't get rid of him, but he shows glimpses of world-class quality and then a lot of mediocre football. And unfortunately, what we're seeing as of late is very mediocre. But I don't know where he panicked, say yesterday. But yeah, great save on the second one. But yeah, it just looked like he panicked. Really, really strange. I think if anyone else on the pitch it forced to, it probably does go in, even Totti.
I mean, you look at that still. You look at the amount of space he's got to run into as well. And we just criticise him for that first chance where he does nothing at all, and yet when the second time he does something, and it's Johnson, the good Palace goalkeeper, spread himself well and took one for the team.
Yeah, to be fair, you look at the space as well. The space he's created and the runs he's got, they're both great runs. He's created that himself, so the ability is there, but. Again, he could have maybe, if he's bricking it a little bit, pass it across the box. I think Strand Larsen's there that could potentially roll it in. But obviously for the second one, he's got no option but just to hit it, hasn't he? But yeah, it's poor.
He's a very intelligent footballer, but you get the feeling that O'Neill's never 100% trusted him since they've both been at the club at the same time. I think formation this season, how we started the season off, has meant that there wasn't really a place for him in the team. Obviously, that's changed now because needs must. He is intelligent. I mean, whatever happens, to be honest, he won't. Whatever happens this season now, Sarabia won't be here next season at all. I think he's gonna. We won't offer him. I think his contract's till the end of the season, so he won't be offered terms on what he's on now, and I think he'll want to probably go anyway. So he won't be here much longer. But it's a shame because he's such a clever, intelligent player. He does have quality. It's just a shame in two vital moments yesterday we didn't see it. And with that second one, he has smashed him right in the face, which, as one of the comments say, that's a minor victory to smash him right in the face with it. But it needed like a strand last. Let's finish really sort of a bit more composure to potentially slide it under him, and it could be a different game. But yeah, it's just a bit unfortunate, really. It's fell to those two chances in that particular time of the game fell to him, and he's not had the composure which normally he does possess.
I mean, there were. Match of the Day made it look like nothing happened in that first half, but there were quite a few times where that kind of ball did end up with Cunha, and he put it across the box, and there was no one there, or it was slightly too overhit, and we did kind of carve them over quite well. And you look at how the narrative's turned against Gary O'Neill and this game in general, and you think, well, okay, certain people have got a point where it's not all bad, yet the end product's not there. And you spoke with Strand Larsen. So let's get to the Palace goal, the first goal. I mean, you look at that ball coming over, and we'll come to you, Ed. I mean, first of all, let's just clarify: are you? There's some comments here, Ed. For the audio listeners, Ed is either sat in a blurred out kitchen or a World War II convenience store.
Very Fallout, isn't it? I can't take the blur off. It's just a bookcase behind me. But I didn't have time to take the blur off beforehand. That's all. This is my work computer, so I always have stuff. So some Wolves books there and stuff. The stuff that's orange, but yeah.
That's the official story, is it? Okay. So the cross. I got a lot of shit for this. But at the time of it happening, who did you turn the blame to? Ed? Because Sar's come for it, he hasn't got there. Strand Larsen's headed it on, and then our nemesis, the back post, struck again.
So I heard the call in the stands. I heard keepers.
Yeah.
So at that point, Strand Larsen should be ducking, getting out of the way, whatever he needs to do, getting ready to take the hit. But also, I get it. It's desperation, isn't it? We're bottom of the league. Someone sees the ball. He's 6'3". He thinks he can deal with it, and he's also just trying to fix the problem. It's too many cooks at that point, isn't it? He's desperate to fix it. He's desperate to head the ball away, and isn't maybe trusting the process in terms of Sar coming out to claim it, because Sar's coming out to punch it as well, I think, rather than catch it. So there's maybe a thought in his mind that he can clear it better, or they can regroup. It's people panicking, I think, at that point. It's a decent ball into the corridor of uncertainty, and he should have left it. He didn't, and it just so happens to pop up at the back post, and it's a very good finish still, mind. It's a very good finish.
Of course it is. As the vast majority of goals against us are this season. Ed's mentioned it there, Rich. You look at it. I mean, I thought he was coming to catch it at first. I've seen it back a couple of times, one on Match of the Day, and I still thought he was going to catch it because of how he went up with both hands, but he has done this before. I know Manny said it on Twitter as well, that he wants his keeper to come and clatter and take everyone out. In that situation, what would you have done?
Oh, well, I think to start with, if you look at the graphic of where he's started his position, it ain't great. Like, he ain't going to get... The header ain't going past him when he stood 2-3 yards off his line from there. If he stood 4 or 5 yards further on, maybe even on a 6-yard box, I think it's just poor positioning. He's got more ground to cover. Like you said, I think obviously what you just said, Ed, is that they heard a call in a stand. I didn't from the opposite side, but Strand Larsen's just doing his job. He's told if the ball's there, head it. So that's what he's tried to do. But Sar's got to clatter anything that's in front of him. And if it's his own bloke, tough. Space is tough. Hit it. Get everything you can. and punch as far as possible. Sal's never coming to catch it. He doesn't do catching, does he? So, yeah, he's coming to hit everything he can. But yeah, it's just frustrating to watch, really, because it's those tiny percentage of margins that we're just not being on point with. It's frustrating to watch because you see, if that doesn't happen, I think we're comfortable. We're still comfortable in the game. Again, we've made a mistake. We allowed them back in the game. You think, why? It must probably do O'Neill's head in, to be fair to him, because you could see it's both people's probably fault, but then neither of them are going to get blamed for it. They're both doing what they're told to do. One edit and one try and claim it, and neither have done the job. So that's frustrating, isn't it? So
yeah. But one of the people at fault at that did make amends, Pricey, and that finish from Strand Larsen for the equaliser. He's some boy in front of the goal, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, what the images don't show they've got on screen is the interception from probably our best defender at the minute, Santi, and the long breaking pass out to Cunha, which I suppose Chalobah gambled to try and intercept, but it was a fantastic take in the air from Cunha to take it on to direct the chest towards goal and set him on the way to put Larsen in. I think I originally said, I can't remember which game it was. I thought Larsen, it always looked a bit immobile, like it looked a bit slow. But to be fair, he's already on four goals already in this absolute car crash of the season. So he's doing his bit at the minute. He's probably doing better than I thought. If truth be told, in my eyes, just in my opinion, I think he's doing better than what I thought. There was originally debates about his fitness, wasn't there? Like he couldn't last more than X amount of minutes or something. I don't really see that.
No,
to be honest, I don't really see that at all anymore. If that was even an issue anyway, I don't think I ever really noticed that. But the Cunha's role in it was start again. Santi Bueno's role in it was fantastic. Cunha's role in it was fantastic, and then there's the overall composure. As we talked, he did everything that Sarabia didn't. He was just calm, and you can tell, right, the composure on him because he's slotted it through Henderson's legs. And that's a finisher, someone who's confident in what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, you try and put it either side, wouldn't you? And when the goalkeeper spreads himself, the keepers on this pod here will probably nod in agreement. You'd spread yourself, starfish-wise, schwanker-wise, to cover off the angles, but you're always going to leave between your legs free, and that shows the confidence of Strand Larsen right there, just to pop it through the middle. And I mean, it's a brilliantly well worked goal. And obviously, we thought at that point we had a bit of lift off, which we did for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned him there. You mentioned Santi Bueno. No one's. It's now 5-9 on Sunday night, and I've not seen anyone on Twitter even praise him at all for that performance whatsoever yesterday. I thought he was great again.
Does that mean he's not made a mistake, you see? That's why no one's on the back. He doesn't need to praise him, but he's just done his job for a change.
Yeah.
It's unusual for one of our centre-halves to do a job and not make really any mistakes. He did pretty much everything right. It's unusual for us. Not on him personally, but as our defensive unit. There's normally some rick or something that's happening, but you can't argue. As Adam said, he was quality. He was really, really good last night.
I mean, the stats thing's not in here. We'll mention it again later on. But did you see, Richard, how many days since our last Premier League clean sheet?
It's a long, long, long time, which is a bit of a worry. Those things you put in a group earlier, that chunk of stats that was in there it actually makes you feel sick. How many days we haven't won a game and how many days we haven't it's just sickening.
Well, we'll come to the rest of it later. It's 252 days for stats fans as of recording.
Just daft.
Over 2/3 of a year.
It is nauseating, isn't it? But like something about Santi, I mean, don't forget. I mean, this is like the guy that the powers that be were happy to move on as well.
Yeah. Luckily, you're not wrong. They were
exactly there. Comment from Paul. They were openly, publicly said that we would get rid of him and move him on. Their best defender. It's utter madness to try and get him out. it'll probably be another one now that probably look to move on in the summer, come what may. Because I mean, if your Santi's obviously a contract professional, judging by the last few games, just getting his head down and just being one of the best players. But I mean, the agent's probably finding out some alternative options for him there. After that besmirching of his good character.
I mean, yeah, he's been one of our best players, and we've still conceded 4 goals. That's what we come to. But none of them were down to him. I think you're right there, Rich. But like you said, Price, we were happy. We were happy for once, for a short period of time. And that boy João Gomez. I mean, what a finish! His first goal at Molineux as well. I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Where is it? Oh, it's not on that. Sadly, it's not on that picture. But we probably should have talked about the substitution. We'll come back to that in a second. Guedes had an impact. I know. I don't want to say it. I don't want to praise him. But fair's fair. I thought when he came on after the incident and what happened with the substitution, I thought there was a couple of times where he put himself about in the way that Sarabia didn't. And you look at that lie-off, Ed, and he could easily have had a shot from there.
Yeah, he affected the game yesterday. He's a very north to south footballer, isn't he? We have an awful lot of people that go east to west, sideways, backwards. But he only goes forwards, and I do quite like that about him. Whether or not we can debate all night whether he wants to be here, whether he's playing for a contract, as they say in the NBA, and all that kind of stuff, somewhere else. But in that position there, he's well within his rights at 1-1 to have a pop. He's made some space. He's got the ball through, but he's taken a second and gone, hang on, my mate's in a better position, slide it in. And what a finish from João, who in the second half was a completely different player to the one in the first. He was kind of unleashed a little bit more in the second half and being a bit more of the pit bull, going after the ball and following up his own closing down. And he fully deserved it. I mean, the celebration's very cringe, but they all are these days. But it was a great goal, great team goal as well. And it shows that we've said it all year on the pod. We've got goals in us. It's just we can't seem to stop them coming in the other way.
Yeah. I mean, was he unleashed, Rich, because of Lemina's performance when he came on?
Yeah, I think he was, to be fair. I generally have not minded Guedes this year at all. Every time he's come on or started, even in the cup games, he looks like he wants to make an impact. He tries hard. He don't stop running. But my issue is he looks like he's wearing a pair of flip-flops. He generally never, ever, every time he turns and puts his boot in the turf, he slips. So I don't know what boots he wears, but he needs to change them because he cannot stay on his feet. He's got a little bit of the Pedence kind of issue. Like every time he can do something and affect the game, he falls over. If he stops falling over, I think he'd be bloody brilliant for us. But I don't, again, the pass, his awareness for it, like you said, maybe confidence might be a little bit low, so he's not taking a shot on. But then I think in the Carabao Cup game against Brighton, he took a shot on from there and didn't score, unfortunately. So, yeah, for me, he did the right option and it worked. It played, we finished. It was a great finish again. 2 composed finishes in my mind for very unusual Wolves, at the moment, that is. But, yeah, I don't dislike Guedes at the moment. I just wish he'd stop falling over all the bloody time. He even got booked for diving somehow, so...
I mean, is that the first booking for diving of the season? It feels like it.
Yeah, I don't think it was a dive either, personally, but from what it didn't look like it, but yeah, he still got booked for
it. I mean, when you've got form, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly.
But the burning question, though, did anyone boo when the subs were made beforehand? Because I did.
I may have said something a little bit different to a boo with the rest of the stuff, to be honest. In fact, did someone tweet saying he was laughing? Neil was, because the fans were saying, "You know what you're doing?" He turned around and just laughed at the bench.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a worry, but
there's it's a laugh, or it's a grimace, or it's a nervous smile. I don't think we could. You can't quite get what he's trying to do there, but it must be difficult when a small section of people are telling you you're awful at your job. It's bad enough maybe in your workplace if your boss tells you, but to have like maybe 2,000 or 3,000 people yelling it, it's probably not the easiest thing to respond to.
I mean, it's the kind of face that he's pulling. Like he's been caught with a copy of Razzle by his mom.
Yeah,
Like it kind of
he's turning,
like,
and
yeah. And it wasn't as bad as it was expected. Like people were saying on Twitter, and he's laughed like he was the Joker. It was a bit of a nervous kind of reaction more than anything else. But that's two home games in a row where things have happened like that. And you look at Brentford away as well, when he got the same reaction. So we'll come to that after the break. Don't worry, people. I know the comments are it's all brewing. Just wait.
I think actually, although it was like I didn't do. I was just taking in everyone else that was. But the subs actually, I know probably some was unpopular. I don't think. Well, from where I was sitting, it wasn't. It was a cheer initially when Sarabia was the first of the three coming off.
Yeah.
So everyone was happy to see the back of him. A bit I guess because of the two chances spurned or whatever. And when Doyle was the second one come off, that's when the boo started because no one really wanted to see Doyle go off.
Yeah, that was for me.
And then Totti come off. That was just a bit different. So I think really that a lot of the boos were for taking Doyle off, from what I can remember. But the ironic thing is that actually we picked up after the subs were made. We actually it's going to be hard to pinpoint that was the actual origin of us picking up. But as we mentioned, Lamina come on, played well. Guedes come on, as we say, mean shoes sing from the same hymn book when it comes to Guedes, but he actually was lively. When he come on, we know he set up the goal. He's trying compared to obviously when he was last with us, when he was just like a body in a shirt and not a good body, a scarecrow would have done better. But the one that I was completely different by was Bellegarde coming on. It didn't really affect the game at all when he come on. It was a bit anonymous, but it's quite ironic that it was all booing, but actually the subs kind of did set in motion some of the following events that was getting back into the game and taking the lead. But I think, for me, I think it was more so when everyone saw Doyle coming off, because I think the vast majority of the fans want Doyle in the team. We want to see we've all mentioned on this pod before about when we started playing three midfield with Lamina, Gomez, and Andre, and it wasn't really working. They're all kind of similar players, and there's no one. We all thought we needed someone like Doyle in there, so that's why we want him to play. We want him to be in that midfield. So for him to come off on the hour mark when we're looking to get back in the game was, I think, the reason why everyone sort of got a bit pissed off at that point, and also could have just conceded.
Yeah, and I mean, it's 2 weeks in a row where his subs have worked. We can go on to that later. If they've worked because he's having to react to a problem rather than being proactive, but that's for later on. But back to when we were happy again, when we were 2-1 up and things looked rosy for a while. And I thought it's been the story of the season where, for me, we've kind of played well in patches of games, and yet then it's resorted back to past nonsense over and over again. But then their second goal. I mean, we kind of snigger because it's so stupid, isn't it? And it's the same thing again. It's a flick on to the back post again, and go on it, burst away. Because how can it? If it keeps happening, it's clearly a problem, isn't it? It's not a coincidence anymore.
No, and it's obviously not just one set piece coach's issue, whether we've sacked him or not. I mean, that's basics football, isn't it? That whether you do zone or whether you do man-to-man marking, no one's in Gay's zone, no one's man marking Gay at the back post. And if you watch the goal back, he doesn't do an intelligent run. He stands pretty much static the whole time. No one gets goal side of him. Sarr doesn't come and collect the ball, clear people out. We don't. No one really attacks the ball from a defensive point of view. We just let it happen to us again, and that's what we seem to do with set pieces. We let them happen. It's like we are passive in that phase of play. And I mean, what are we beyond putting people on the back post? Is that not done in 2024? Is that anti-football now because Pep doesn't do it? I don't know. I'm sick and tired of it, to be honest. It's that there is basics, and that shouldn't be happening in the Premier League, and it should not be happening with. I don't know how many centre backs we technically had on the pitch at that point, but we've got two centre backs. We've got Strand Larsen. It's not exactly the land of the giants, but we're not short. And Mark Gay's my height, like 5'11", so he's not just going to be sneaking around the back post completely free. He's basically static. And again, it's a good finish with his left foot, but we could have cut that out in 3 or 4 different phases there, and we've just passively let it happen to us again.
Yeah, and there was another comment as well that I saw earlier on Twitter about how Sarr dropped the ball over the line for the corner in the first place. The ball was already out on directly in line with that.
Yeah, the ball was out. That's my side, and it was out. He didn't. That was gone.
Yeah, just to clarify that latest bit of slander. But I know I've said it on here as well before in the past about that. Why are you playing your left back in the middle for corners? Why is it your left back not at the far post, ready to break? Like, how many times has Aït-Nouri actually been at the far post for things like this? Not many. I can't think off the top of my head. It's always someone else there, and that's not his fault. Obviously, they're told to stand where they're standing and mark where they mark. But if it's clearly not working, and we've got however many points we've got there, and this nonsense has happened over and over again, surely you've got to look at why wouldn't you play your left back there, Rich? Why? Just tell me why.
Well, his lack of awareness defending, that'd be why. He's great going forward, but he can't. His defending is poor. Most games can be poor. You have games where he's world class going forward and back, but I think it's just he doesn't pay attention. So you take the risk of him switching off. You put him in the middle. Fine. Is he going to win a header? Probably not. But he could hold. At least he'd be goal side. You like to think. But you only got to look at the graphic you put up. Again, I might be on Sarr's back, but look where he is on the line. The corner's coming and he's moved, a yard off his line? Why is he not trying to come and get that? That's only 4 yards out. It's, again, decision-making that's costing us. Yes, we've not won a header. Great. Do we win a second ball? No. Does the keeper come for it? No. And again, poor defender on the back post. Sarr's not then going to save that the way it is, the position it is, but Guedes has switched off for that. Again, he's not a defender, so fine. But then surely they're drilling this set piece type things in training. But as I had said, we've sacked the coach, so who's doing the set piece coaching now? I'm sure it's our tactical genius.
I mean, you mentioned it there. I mean, it is an observation to have. I mean, you look at that Sarr's first season here, and that's the kind of thing he'd come and claim everything like Matt Murray used to do. Yeah. So this is a coaching thing. It has to be, because you're not going to be a certain type of goalkeeper and then go and do something else off the top of your head. I mean, he's clearly been told when to patrol the 6-yard box, because Johnson plays exactly the same way in the few games that we saw with him. He didn't come and claim things. And this is the Ruby way, because Ruby was stuck to his line, as John Ruddy used to say. But you knew where you stood with that. Whereas Sarr was not doing this when he came here. So who'd you blame that on? Neil Cutler, maybe yet another one of the coaching staff's fucking shit. Really wouldn't surprise you at this point, would it? So
you just got to wonder. Yeah, the coaching is the way it is, but surely you can still make a decision. That's the decision making is what's going to cost you to win a game in the day. Yeah, as a shot stopper, he's great, but those margins, if it's 4 yards, he can just punch it. Surely he can come and get that. There's no reason why he needs to stand on his line for me. And it seems like I'm battering him constantly, but it's because it's poor goalkeeping again. For me, it is. It really is. I know others will have a completely different view on it to me, which is fine. You're entitled to your opinion, but you're bloody wrong. He needs to come off his line. He's got to come punch it, do something to make that ball not drop to that back post. Has to. But again, we haven't, and that's that. And it's 2-2, and we're like, oh, Jesus Christ, we're going to lose this 3-2 now, aren't we? It's one of them, isn't it?
I think the one criticism you can level at Guedes is that he switched off at the back post. You can say it can be mentioned that he's not a defender, but they would have practiced that in training. So if you come on the pitch, you're picking up the man at the far post, and he stayed with him until the ball was flicked on. The second the ball was flicked on, Guedes stopped. Gay didn't. Gay carried on. He gambled, but has switched off there. I mean, you could say Stark would come and get it. He would be push himself right into a crowd of players. He did initially start to come, didn't he? Then backed away. The flick on could have gone anywhere, but he's, like I say, Gay just gambled, and like good players do, really. They do gamble to see what might happen from the situation. He's gambled, and we haven't. And I think, you know, game number 720, where we conceded two goals in a game. You know, at the minute it's just ridiculous. At the minute, the amount of goals we've let in under O'Neill, where we're actually at the point there where we have to score 3 goals a game to win a game. I think surely based on this season, you know, alone, what is it? Only Forest, is it? I think the only game where we haven't let in 2. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but it feels like every game we're letting 2.
Yeah, I mean, you had a point there where it's the flick on is what it is, but if you're anyone else playing this wall side, if you're getting any flick on, you'd naturally say aim to the far post, flick it onto the back post, because that's where the vulnerabilities are. And I'll watch that one back because I had the same thought as well. Because I'm slightly sadistic, that it looked deliberate, and you think, well, okay, people like that Bournemouth goal against Arsenal last week or the week before, which was an excellently perfectly well worked corner that we never in a million years would do. Where they thought, okay, we've got an opportunity here, and he's blasted it into the top of the net. Brilliant. From a Palace point of view, you look at that and you think, well, how do you exploit Wolves? Hit him from a set piece at the far post. Job done. And we got done twice.
They probably just watched the Brentford game, didn't they? Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, just before we go into the break, I'm just going to clarify one thing that Danny P has put in the chat for the people. Sorry if it's already been covered. Which is the most self-destructive choice? Stu shirt, hat, or Wolves set piece defending? Now, Jets won on Thursday night, so I'm happy for a change in one part of my life. This shirt is admittedly so awful that it could not be bought again. Don't give your money to Fosun. This was merchandise cash. So end of. But yeah, I think the defending still is worse than this whole attire.
Personally. I don't know about that, mate.
I have noticed from the comments coming in that there seems to be a groundswell of Turkish fans wanting to woo Pablo Sarabia over to their country. I saw the Besiktas. There you go. The comment popped up there. They want him, and then the exact identical comment further up from Wolves to Kia. Andy Brassel's correct pronunciation of it now.
Yeah, I'll drive to the airport.
Turkey making early moves for Pablo Sarabia.
We'll take one decently priced holiday, all inclusive. Thank you.
So you get to 2-2. Do you have a feeling that we're gonna get anything from this game, or we're gonna lose it? Because that was the thought was in my head. It's just a matter of time now before it goes to 3 Palace.
Yeah. I generally thought we'd lose it tonight. So I thought we would. I know we got 2-1 up, which is great, you know, positive. But we did what we usually do, is then sit back for 5 minutes and think, we'll just hold this. And yeah, obviously we conceded, and then we've just dropped further and further back like we normally do. I think it was just a matter of time. I think we got let off. Palace missed a hatful of chances, to be fair. There's one that they've got given offside. I can't remember the lad who should have scored it, but it's come off, and Ketia on the line has cleared it for us. But that's going in. It should be in all day. But it got given offside, luckily. But I think we rode our luck the entire game. They were really, really poor. Really poor. But then so were we. So, yeah, I definitely thought we were going to lose that in the end. Just form this year, isn't it, really, for us?
And then you have the controversial incident at the end, which at the time I thought penalty. But then I thought he's played on, he's going to give the goal. That was my first thought. Watching it back, it came to when Joe Hart, with the straightest back in the world, as Pricey mentioned earlier, mentioned about the rule, about the one hand on the ground rule, where that clearly is the case with this, so it is a foul. but it's mightily lucky, and it's yet another. It's a catastrophe averted in a way. But again? You can. I mean, I know you don't like Sarich, but he's got form for this kind of madness, and to do that, I don't know what he's doing. And that's we've both been clattered that way. You don't lose the ball, and he's pulled the ball back into his body, and it's got loose.
Yeah,
you'd be pissed off if that was given against you, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, I think you look at it from our point of view. We got away with one. Yeah, the rules are right, and VAR probably actually got it right for a change, which is very unusual. I'm sure they tried their best to do anything to make it go the other way as usual. But yeah, it looked from obviously the other end of the picture was that he'd spilt it, and it obviously tapped it in. You think, well, we just lost a bloody game. Like it generally from there, and then you see the replays, like, oh, okay. And a couple of steals you've seen, he's almost got two hands on the ball from some of the steals. You think, oh, okay, he has got away with it. Is it poor goalkeeping? No, he's fallen to the ground. Things move. Don't worry, being a goalkeeper, that happens. But there's no one near him to be alive in case he's going to spill it. And he's got form for spilling it, to be honest with you. So we're, again, the awareness of a second ball or anything like that. We just stood there watching it and the lad tapping it in, really. So I think we got away with it. But yeah, I think he was fortunate, to be fair. Very, very fortunate.
Yeah, I think fortunate's the word. And there was a lot of talk as well about the reaction at full time where everyone looked dejected, but rightly so, because this was, although Gary O'Neill said not, this was a must win, wasn't it, Pricey?
God, yeah. It's like we are literally all those Chernobyl Wolves reactors are primed, set, ready to blow right now because of this game. The players have every right to be dejected because it's yet another game we haven't won, which, as we know, we've probably only won once this calendar year in the league. Which just saying that, you know, that's like Derby County levels of shitness, isn't it? From way back when.
It's worse.
Yeah, it is worse. Definitely.
You youngsters, look it up. Derby County Premier League, worst ever team.
Swindon.
All them, yeah, and they're right to be dejected because they've fought back from a losing position to a winning position, and then not only did they allow Palace to get back into it, like you say, we were, you know, a hair's breadth away from actually losing the game, if not for, you know, as Joe Hart said on Match of the Day last night, you know, the rule book going in their favour. And it's just I keep going back to what Lamina said a few weeks ago now. This losing mentality. I know obviously we didn't lose the game, but the premise is still the same. The players just can't, at the minute, the whole club just can't seem to shake off this losing mentality. When it's like we've got programs to not win a game at the minute. It's like the multiverse has just decided that we just can't win a game. Doesn't matter who we've got, how many players are on the pitch, whatever. And you know, I'm sure the spirits are being kept high in training, but it's got to be like it's knock after knock, isn't it? Like every week since we last won a game against Luton way back when, and probably, you know, there's even we were struggling before then as well. You know, with all the injury crisis we had leading to the Coventry FA Cup game. It just seems that at the minute the players just simply forgotten how to win a game of football. I mean, we talk about stats. There's teams that have got more points this year in the Premier League that are no longer in the Premier League. Like, was it Burnley and Burnley, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah,
Burnley have got more points this calendar year in the Premier League, and they haven't been in that league since June. So I don't know. We're plumbing new depths here of just shitness. Really.
I mean, we'll just quickly look at what the people said. Adam Bates at Molineux. Chance if you don't know what you're doing, director of Gary O'Neill about the subs. Since this place was about to turn, Wolves have lost every home game in the Premier League this season before today. Lee Hendry, credit to O'Neill and his Wolves side. When the crowd turns against you, it's easy to go into your shell. They haven't, which is a good point. Come back on that later. Wolves are raggy but still pushing. There's a lot going on emotionally inside this stadium and on the pitch. Wolves are desperate, but they've earned themselves a lifeline. Then we faint praise here, really. I think all you can say is about the players still being up for the fight, unbelievably. But we'll come on to the meltdown section in a minute. Everyone knows the drill. Quick break. We'll be back. Then the fury is unleashed. You're bursting all day. Ed, go.
What is the Gary O'Neill team? Tell me.
Shit.
Right, let's do a quick game. If I say to you, Stu, Jose Mourinho, what do his teams look like? Quick.
Stubborn. Effective.
Defensively solid. What's a Pep team look like, Pricey?
Well, possession, well drilled.
Let's go down the league a little bit. Rich, what does a Sean Dyche team look like?
Oof. Well, yeah, you would say ugly football, but doesn't tend to concede too many.
Right. So what's a Gary O'Neill team? Go.
Back five, isn't it, man?
Back four, back five, passing lanes. We're looking really good on Monday Night Football once. Doesn't make any substitutions. Then when he makes some substitutions, then doesn't do anything to capitalise on the ones that he does well. He has no style. He has no personality. He has an ego the size of a small country, and he has nothing to back that up with. And what is he offering us? What is he offering us? He has no philosophy. He has no style. He has no substance to him. I am sick to death of him. I am sick to death of him as a person.
He offers hybrid balls and ass for the.
Yeah, that's what I'm just laughing at. Sorry.
How about that? Who's more? Who you reckon is more disliked than he is as an all fan base? Dean Saunders or Gary O'Neill?
Well, Dean Saunders was a clown, so he was just, and always has been, and still is a bit of a joke. And
you posted O'Neill photo on Twitter earlier as a clown.
Yeah, I know. I remember when I did that about Nuno, and I got absolutely destroyed for weeks. But yeah, Gary O'Neill is an idiot, and he's. Oh, Ed was saying now, who is he? And remember them four blokes who in Birmingham with the skinny jeans on, and you know the ones about the sea shanty thing. It's like them thinking they're Balenciaga models. That's what Gary O'Neill is. He thinks he's a genius when he's a bellend. He can't get simple things right. And for me, the problem is he's not going to change, is he? And like we mentioned it earlier about how reactionary he is. He's reactionary to his own mistakes, which is good. But it's always that problem. It's always when there is a mistake that he reacts. He's never the one to change things when things are going well or turn the screw. It's always the other way around. And when you're running out of time, which we already are in November, what do we do? Well, I mean, you look at. I know this is for the guys later on next week, but you look at next weekend and you think with Southampton, and we're going to get past to death. We all know what's going to happen. The crowd's going to get restless anyway. He won't go to a back five out of sheer stubbornness, like we've already mentioned. So you're going to be playing this 4-5 thing again, and yet you're going to be outpassed by a team whose entire DNA is based on playing that way, who still haven't won a game in the league yet. It's and should have beat us last time if it wasn't for Shea Adams and his madness with his hand. It's all set up for a failure again. And I know people in the comments there, Tim Green, O'Neill reminds me of Paul Lambert, studied tactics really in depth, but couldn't implement them on a team for success. Good point. But what? It's a good point. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. You've baffled me because
you saying he's a tactical genius is what they were saying. Like Ed laughed about it then, saying that his Monday night performance was brilliant, and it was. He'd come across like he was an absolute genius, but he's been found wanting and been found how ridiculous his formations have been. Is what he's doing transition wise, everything he's done so far in the last pretty much 12 months doesn't seem to have gone right. And that can't all be through the squad. The squad isn't that bad. There's a lot of quality. There's a lot of international footballers and potential future stars in this squad. We shouldn't have some of them in our squad. That's a fact. We've got them. We're not utilising them. And then when we do have them, we play them in positions like let's have three and centre mid when they're all kind of doing the wrong things together. It's just frustrating. And I wanted him to succeed, but it's pretty much gone to shit since that Coventry game, hasn't it? It's all downhill very, very quickly. If we win that game, I don't think we're in this position. I generally don't. I think it just went so bad. And yes, the injuries you can say was against us. But again, that's poor planning. Buy properly. Make sure you've got the right positions filled and the backups. But we didn't. So, but yeah, it's shit rolls down there. We are sliding down the hill currently. So,
I mean, we'll go on to the I mean, you mentioned it earlier when we mentioned the one stat. 67 days since Wolves won a game of football. It was a 2-0 defeat of Burnley in the Carabao Cup. 190 days since a Premier League victory against Luton, who are now in the Championship. 239 days since we beat a current Premier League team, 2-1 against Fulham. The Sheffield United clean sheet one we mentioned, and 260 days since our last away win, 2-0 at Spurs. So nearly 2/3 of a year this has been going on. Who else in any walk of life, let alone football, in any walk of life, could be this bad at their job and still have a job to go back to the next day?
It's like the same
defend them.
I was the same thing. That there's been far better. We've all wanted Gary O'Neill to succeed, obviously, but there's been far better managers who've been sacked for so much less than this. It's amazing it's been allowed to continue and to go on. To be honest, I mean, Jeff, I put in the comments earlier that goal scoring is not a problem. I looked at the table earlier. Like we scored 14 goals, which is the same as Forest in third. We scored the same goals as them. The problem is that Forest have let in 7. We've let in 27. One of the other stats that I saw, that aren't we second now in the list for most goals conceded at this point of a Premier League season of all types since the Premier League's been going?
Yeah,
we've now took second spot as the team at 10 games in. It conceded this many goals. You like you say, you look down the years of Premier League football, and managers have been sacked for so much less than this. Funnily enough, the one guy, this is actually quite ironic. The one guy who got this far and then one game changed his entire career was Iraola, the guy that obviously was brought in to replace Gary O'Neill at Bournemouth. I'm sure he got to 10 games without a win, and then he won one, and then that's it. He hasn't really looked back since, But with us, even with Southampton coming up, you're not sure where we're going to get this next win coming from. You can't bank on it really. I mean, that's just a sorry state that we're in. And O'Neill's one part of the problem, right? But we all know that you have to look higher than that to see where some of the main problems lie. And with how the club's run from Jeff's running a car crash at the minute. He's put our prices up. We're performing worse than we've ever done before at this level in our lives. We're all paying more for the privilege of being 10 games into a season and not seeing a single win yet. He refuses to do anything to take the club forward. Won't sanction off money for new screens. Even me and Stu quite passionate about this point, because everything he does is with an investment in mind. He had to be dragged kicking and screaming to get the bollards painted. He won't. He doesn't want it. He doesn't want to push his club forward in any way, shape, or form. In 5 years' time, as we said in our group sheet before, haven't we? Birmingham will be ahead of us the way we're going, because Birmingham have owners that quite clearly have ambitious ownership, ambitious plan. They just got relegated, and they're going to be more ambitious than we are. And they're in League One. But like with us, we've got the Chinese Mike Ashley in charge, who doesn't want to push the club forward anyway. They're just happy for us to exist, and managerial appointments like O'Neill are made on that basis. Just people being put in charge who are just happy to keep us floating along. We all know Jeff's comments was put before. Go and support someone else if you want a bit of glory, because I'm not going to push this club forward to achieve anything while I'm here. I'm just happy getting the TV money in every year, getting the tourists in, keeping the bank balance topped up. But if you actually want to see good football or have any success, you won't find it here. That's what, unfortunately, that's what we're finding ourselves in at the minute. We're in such a sorry state. We're almost getting apathetic to the shitness, aren't we? Really?
Yeah, but even with all that, you look at the squad of players that we actually do have, and that squad of players should be mid-table at worst.
Oh yeah.
And that's only on one man. I'm not like we can fuck Fowson off in any day of the week. That's never going to change. They're going to be like the Venkies. They're here forever. There's no point losing any air over them anymore. I'm done with that. But what we can do though, we carry on. I mean, it's just baffling beyond belief how anyone in their right mind still wants him here. And you look at polls, loads of people have done polls over the last 24 hours. And there's still like 5-10% of people in there saying keep him. And why? Just it's all well and good looking well, playing nice little triangles for 10 minutes a game. And it's all well and good. Oh, we can move the ball side to side, and we can move in the passing lanes like I mentioned earlier. And you can be press resistant and all the kind of hipster bollock words. When you're watching football, you don't care about any of this. You see it with your eyes, you look at the Premier League table. That's all that counts. What you see in front of you and what the stats say. I don't care about tactics, I couldn't care less. And I don't think the vast majority of people do either, really. It's nice to have, and it's a nice thing. And when people do good jobs like Gully does, brilliant. But football for the vast majority of people is not about that. It's not even about playing well for most people. It's just about winning, and that's the thing furthest from the truth at the minute. And you look at some of the things. I mean, it's in the docket here. I mean, let's just give a shout out for little Dan, because he puts all the things on here. No, we don't do it because we can't. Dan does it all. So fair play. But Gary's post-match bollocks. All of that dressing room has basically not played many games in the Premier League, and we are trying to help them learn on the toughest stage. WFC_ST21 on Twitter, just to put it in more context of this apparent claim. Based on the most recent lineups, Wolves 944 games combined, Palace 895, Forest 855, Brighton 756, Brentford 852, and Bournemouth 794. He's talking at his RC again.
He just says stuff.
Yeah.
He just says whatever's in his head. He has no filter. And we see every week with his press conferences. He'll contradict himself in the same sentence. And how complicated must that be? Right now, we need the game to be so simple because we can't buy a win like we've talked about. And I can only imagine he's giving them reams of paperwork to study this, to think about this. Have you thought about this passing lane? Have you thought about this low block? Consider yourself in this position right now. Visualize it. We don't need any of that right now. We need results. And granted, he's set us up in certain situations and we've made a mistake. We did well in the first half against Brighton, and Sarr pulls a dreadful, clearance out of his backside and puts us on the back foot. But I'm just done with him. I'm done with him. He is the most substitutions again yesterday, whether by luck or by judgment, he got us back in the game, and then he did nothing else. Man City, we've had a rearguard action. We've played really well, and then he never once thinks about freshening it up at the end, bringing more players on. The game before that, he did this 3 single substitutions that made me lose my mind for the first time. And that all of that is basic coaching. You wouldn't even do that on Football Manager or FIFA. It's pathetic. It is pathetic what he's offering right now.
Such a bizarre thing for him to say as well, isn't it? To come out with that the team has no Premier League experience. Like, Dawson is standing right there. He's played in the Premier League for donkey's years. I just can't understand where that's come from. It's a sign of it's probably the comments of a desperate man, and like we were saying just before we come on air, like his comments before that transfer window wasn't an issue 2 weeks ago, and now suddenly it is. It's just the ramblings of a madman, isn't it? Like he doesn't really. It's like all the comments that are coming through now are saying he's finding everything. He's just finding other things to try and blame, to kind of deflect a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just at the minute, I don't know. He's not giving off the air of someone who's got everything under control at the club. It looks like it's getting away from him.
Yeah, and that comment that you said there, and who mentioned it in the chat? It's gone. Chris Rogers there. He brought up the summer transfer window and not getting the players in that he wanted to. Literally 2 weeks ago, from Liam Keane here, some incredibly strong words from Gary O'Neill, who refuses to blame the transfer window or any players, says he takes full responsibility and he's adamant Wolves will turn it around. That's 2 weeks ago. That's after Brentford, was that?
Yeah.
Doesn't know what he's doing, does he? Absolutely no clue. But I mean, it's pointless at the minute, isn't it? I don't think there's the gonometer is. There's no colour red that's when it's blood red, and we want his blood on a skewer. That it's that far off now. I don't think. When does it? We'll come to you though, Rich. When does it happen? I mean, it seems completely unfeasible that he's going to escape this nonsense. Does he manage to still be here after the international break?
We shouldn't have been here 3 months ago, but he is. 3 months later, we still haven't won a sodding game, and he's still talking shit, basically, and we're still not producing anything. We're conceding goals like water. There is no manager in the entire world that would keep their job on a run. I don't know, people keep saying last year doesn't count, but it does. The run of form is absolutely atrocious. Like, he cannot keep a job. And like we obviously joked earlier, if you were like this in a normal job at home, you'd be sacked for being so poor. Well, he seems to be almost like, it's like, well, it's all right, don't worry about it. Well, you gave him a 4-year deal, so you don't want to sack him because you've got to pay the money. That's why. So you're hoping that, everything goes that wrong, that he walks. He'll never walk in. He's going to take a pay cut whenever he wants, but he's got to go. There's no way he can turn this around, surely. Like, even if we win against Southampton, he still has to go. He's freaking clueless. He couldn't set jelly, let alone a formation and a captain for the squad. I just don't understand the bloke. And I know we all sit in the stands and we all got our own opinions on how we would play and what we would do. And as Ed said, football manager and things, we've all played it. We all know how to do it in our mind. And he's currently getting paid to do that, but he's doing it so bad that there's surely anyone else out there that can do it better. I think my mum could do it better. She has no clue about football because that's more than him.
I'd like to think in the background that we are speaking to potential candidates, and we don't end up with the old PE teacher scenario of Davis and Collins taking over this group of players to try and salvage something while we do find someone. But let's be honest,
they got to win against Forest at least.
Yeah.
I started having the club savvy enough to do that potentially. I don't know, but
No.
I'd say those reactors are ready to blow next Saturday.
I mean, you say savvy. What you mean really thick? Because I mean, you look at every other club breaks and bends the rules, and we do everything by the book properly. They're not going to go talking behind anyone's back, are they? We know how they work, how they do things, and it's.
Wow.
Who would want it? Is the problem? Who in their right mind would want to come here, knowing what happens after a year?
You say that though, the club is not run well, is it? It's run, so they're probably doing the wrong things. Look what they've done with Santi Bueno with the deal there. Look what they did to Sarr with 2 days of the window left, bringing in a keeper when they were telling him he's number one. And there's so many dodgy dealings in this club. This wouldn't surprise me if they're talking to someone now anyway. They're just waiting for him to be sacked for the next one to come in. But when will that be? It's just a complete if, maybe. It's mind-blowing.
Oh, Tom Green in the comments here. I mean, imagine if that happened. We could always go for Beale again. I mean, in a sick kind of way, I want it to happen just to see the entire world burn to a crisp. But anyone who comes in is going to be lauded as a hero, other than that bloke.
Yeah.
But
Look,
they've
already
already
been free soon.
well, exactly. Bring him home. Let him complete the project. I wouldn't be against it. Why not? But you never go back. But that's the thing. It's just shown as his nonsense about the whole thing about the odds and being bookies' favourites and all that stuff. You look at Bournemouth yesterday, who are a better club than us. Look what they did. They went at Man City from the off. Got a brilliant result. Look, they did the same thing to Arsenal. Would we do that now? No, no chance. And we did even that last year. It was backs to the wall. Even against Man City this season, it was let's hold on for dear life and not lose, and we still lost. So the bloke's got no bollocks. He's turning into McGee levels for me.
It's not McGee, Colin Lee. That's what.
I was just going to say Colin Lee more like, yeah.
But at least Colin Lee was just out of his depth, and he seemed a nice guy. And when you hear him talk and everything since that day, and I've heard him on Jason's podcast, and he seemed like a nice guy on there. Mark McGee didn't, and I think Gary Neal's got a nasty streak about him and all. Not for me, Clive.
This is what used to annoy me about, like when all the fixture stuff. I know we made a big deal about all the bad fixtures and everything. Like, and we see Forest have beaten Liverpool, Bournemouth have beaten Man City. But like to us, we've got to write off these games. Wolves could never possibly win these games, so let's write them all off. So we're saying we're going to write off the first 8 games of the season because we couldn't possibly get any results against Villa or Liverpool, City, Arsenal, whatever else. And that's what used to annoy me about like people saying like our season starts now, like when we play Palace.
But did it look like it? Did it look like our season started yesterday?
It's the same as every other week.
Yeah.
5 brief minutes it looked like you might have done.
I was biting my tongue early because we just regroup every time. We don't press. There was no urgency, and I know football's a lot more than just get into them. They don't like it up and Dad's Army bullshit. But there was just strolling to get the ball at 2-2 for a throw-in. Strolling to go and take a corner. No one's not even jogging. You wouldn't get away with that on a 5-a-side on a Monday night. You expected to jog back into your position and rest when you get there. They're just walking around, waltzing around. The players are just like Gary O'Neill is in his little box, like we're happily 10th in the league and comfortable. We're not. We're not. We need someone to put a shift in.
What do you think Gary O'Neill's looking at on his iPad from the game?
Where is
Bonnie Blue?
Yeah. Where is Mr.
Either way.
Yeah. There's been no Bonnie Blue video from you for 2 days, Pro, so I'm disappointed. We need some more.
She's busy, probably.
Probably get herself prepared for the next. She's probably going to get a bit of downtime, but she's prepared for the next big assignment. But
that's the thing. We're more fucked than she is.
Well, I don't know about that, mate.
That's a Twitter poll that was, because if Gary O'Neill's not watching their videos on the iPad during the game, right, he's watching something get fucked either way.
Yeah, he's using his iPad to work out where to invest his payoff. He's watching Ted Lasso. Wherever he's doing, he's not doing his job properly, and that's the problem. We could go all night doing this. I mean, it's quite cathartic and it's quite enjoyable. But some of us have got the NFL to watch. Quickly, I suppose, next week, head in hand, some price already before I even ask the question. Is he still here? And do we beat Southampton?
He'll probably tell us it's a not win. It's a not must-win game, and we'll see out some kind of boring 0-0 where he doesn't make any substitutions, and he claps himself off the pitch, thinking that he's done some tactical genius.
As fair as any. Pricey.
Yeah, he will. He will still be here, but I've got to be honest. I'm not sure we beat Southampton, which is devastating to say. And if we do, it's going to be a 1-0 from a penalty or something daft like that. It's hard. It's hard at the minute to have some bit of undying faith towards the team. Like, as Richard said earlier, we've got a quality squad. This is like a good set of players. It's a decent squad. We shouldn't be where we are now, but O'Neill's just completely rudderless at the ship. So yeah, he will still be here, but I can't say with any degree of certainty that we beat Southampton, unfortunately.
Yeah, I do you know what's going to annoy Stu right now? Ramsdale will be man of the match. It'll be unbelievable. It'll be a shithouse all game. He'll wind us all up. And then we'll go, all right, we've lost 1-0 to someone that's a championship team. Let's be honest, they're not great. But they're currently better on paper than us with the points on the board. But I just don't see us winning, and I don't see him going either. I really don't. I can't. Yeah. I generally, out of those games, I cannot see where we're going to win. We're so lackluster. We can see goals like water. I say every week it's 2. Well, there's teams like are playing quite well. Fulham, Bournemouth. Yes, maybe Ipswich all right. Everton are up and down. Southampton are poor. Leicester are poor. But they've got points on the board. They've got a lot more points on the board than us. It's a worry going forward, but
they all have styles. You all know.
Yeah, they've got
every
an
single
identity,
one of those teams. You know what you're going to get, and we're the only team in the whole division.
And fair play to Southampton. They're not changing identity to pick up points. They're just going to carry on, play it. If they get battered, they get battered. We're getting battered and we don't have one. So he's not going, is he? Let's be honest. Fosun don't want to sack him because we can't afford to sack him. So they're great.
And on that happy note, I mean, you look at that. I mean, if say a win next week puts Southampton onto 7 points. we're already a win away from Southampton if they beat us. Merry Christmas, everyone. Yeah, thanks for listening, and thanks for a lot of people listening to the Fancast Spaces yesterday, hosted by little Dan in his car with his road rage on the way home from the match yesterday. That was a lot of fun. And there is free shipping on all merchandise available until midnight tonight for UK people. Sorry, Americans and Canada. So yeah, join us later in the week. I'm not sure who's going to be on, but they've got a job on their hands just to talk a bit of positivity. But we've got a week. Enjoy other things other than Wolves. Until then, well, you can't enjoy this, can you? You got to
always forget about the club you support.
Yeah, go and watch The Penguin. That's a good thing to do. Brilliant show. Goodbye, everyone.